You can preview the shadow study itself inside Revit Architecture. You can play it back so that you can see the changing shadow patterns. However, not everybody has Revit Architecture, so you also need to be able to export the animation to common formats like an AVI file that you could use, or individual images like PNG files or JPEG files. Consequently, you'd be able to use these individual images in something like a PowerPoint presentation or a flash animation that shows a sequence of still images. Comments in the movie about not showing early morning or early evening are really just me trying to say that, you know, immediately adjacent to your site you might have Mount Everest, and that in itself would be generating a shadow on the site which you're obviously not seeing. So because the shadow pattern itself is very long, first thing in the morning and last thing at night, I generally tend to start the animations a little later and finish them a little earlier, only so that you can see shadows being produced from objects that you know are site specific. That animation produced, you're now able to visualize what's going on and share it with other people so that they can see and analyze the end result and make decisions. I want to show how to export the animation that I created in the project here. Just before I do, what I'm going to do is adjust those settings so that it goes all the way from sunrise to sunset. I think this will show you why I normally miss out the beginning and later hours of the sun path, because you get shadows that are not really realistic because of the low sun in the sky and the terrain model itself. But from the point of view of making the movie a bit longer, I'm going from 8:16 in the morning to 5:41 at night for the winter solstice. So if I've got that set up, I can preview my study as before. I'll just play it. See, it lasts a bit longer, and I'm seeing it all the way around the site. If I looked at the end shadows, that's why I was kind of omitting them. They're not particularly realistic when you get towards the end of the day, because the terrain's a little tricky. So if I go to the beginning of the day, well, it's actually not that bad. But so let me show you how to export it. If I go to the application menu here, I can say export, I can say images and animations, and then I'm clicking on the black arrow to say that what I want to do is export the solar study. What I'm going to get is the range of the frames that I want. I can do all frames from beginning to end, which is okay, or I can set beginning and end frames. I can tell it how many frames I want to see in every second. So again, just to slow this down a bit, what I'm going to suggest is that I'm going to change this to like 3 frames a second. It'll make the animation look a bit more jerky, but it'll show it over a longer period of time, and I'll get an idea what it looks like. I can choose the visual style for this, and I'm going to choose shading with edges. I've got options like realistic or rendering that take longer, but you don't really get, I think, the quality of animation that you can get from some of the other products. So I'm going to stick with shaded by edges. I can choose the size. Let's say I leave it as it is, and I'll just go with the defaults. The next thing you'll see is the option about what do you want to name it, right? So you could, if you want, save out each 15-minute interval as a JPEG, a TIFF, a GIF, a BMP, a PNG. And you might, if you want, to string them together in something like a flash file so you can play it back. I'm going to go with the format that's the single file format, just an AVI file. I'll put it in the class folder. And the next option is for the codec. Usually what I'll do is if the file's going to be bigger and I'm not going to lose any resolution, then I'm going to say uncompressed. But you probably want to try these different options on your machine to see which one gives you satisfactory results. I'm going to stick with the the larger format. Okay, and that's it, actually making the movie and saving it out at the moment. If you look on the bottom left, you'll see that the progress bar to tell you how close it is to being finished. Okay, so if I go to the class folder and I double click on the AVI file, the default name was the name of the view that it was created from, although I could have renamed it as I was exporting it. And what you're seeing is the 15-minute intervals playing back a bit more slowly because we changed the frame rate. I didn't change the calendar, but you can set the calendar to any year. It doesn't actually really make any difference. So 38 frames total, 15 minutes apart, winter solstice, St. Louis, Missouri.